orthographic drawing. So we've got an object right here. So what is the whole point of an orthographic drawing? What's the whole challenge, the thing I'm trying to do with it? So the whole point of an orthographic drawing is you're getting all the sides, yes. Also, but the big challenge is how many dimensions is my block right here? Right? It's 3D and I'm trying to get it onto a 2D piece of paper. So that's my big challenge right there. Let me pull this up, make sure I'm building Lego Tower 2 correctly. So I've got my 2x4, I've got my 2x2, and I've got my 1x1. Follow the slides, make sure I'm building this correctly. I'm going to add this right here. I'm going to add this right there. All right. So there we go. That is tower number 2 right there. So the whole point of my orthographic drawing is I want to show as many sides as I need to on my piece of paper. Right. I apologize if my handwriting is bad. I'm actually doing this all upside down, so it's right side up for you. So that's why my handwriting looks silly. All right, so our orthographic drawing, remember we have our 3 views that we're going to use. Our top, our front, and our side. Get some stuff out of the way. So I have I'm going to call this side my front. I'm going to call this my side. And I'm going to call that my top. So when you do, for this exercise, we're just doing 3 views, top, front, and side. From there, you can interpret and figure out the other ones. So for this class, we're also just going to tell you what side we're going to use for the front. If you had something like tape measure or something, you can pick essentially whatever side you want for the front. Usually it's going to be kind of the most important side or the most unique side. So if I was doing this, I'd probably call that the front. For our tower right here, we're going to call this side the front right here. Let me just double check, make sure that's what she's got there. Yes, this is our front view right here. So I know I'm going to have my 3 views. I've got my front. I've got my side. And I'm going to have my top. When I'm doing this, I'm just going to do a quick little sketch of what it's going to look like. So that way I know that when I'm going to my actual drawings that are all nice and neat, kind of a quick little sketch. So I'm just going to quickly draw my front right here. It's going to look like this. All right. I'm going to turn it on the top. I'm going to look at it like this. I'm going to turn it on the side. It's going to look like this. So again, not perfect, just a quick sketch to help me keep track of what I'm doing. I got my top, front, my side. So now I want to actually get this nice and looking good. So on my drawings right here, hold on a second, match max size, you do not need to write units, it's part of inches, yes. So when I'm doing my orthographic sketch, first one I'm doing is my front. Now it's important to line them up this way. It's important that the top is directly above it. It's important that the side is directly to the right of it. So when I'm drawing, I want to start out kind of in the bottom left of my paper. I don't want to start out up here where I don't have any room to go. So I'm going to start out drawing my front right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this line right here. This bottom line of my piece. This one right here. So I'm going to pull out my calipers because I'm measuring in 3D. And I'm going to measure that. So if you're following along, what did you get for the measurement of the length of those? Excellent. 1 1/4. Perfect. So I'm going to write that on my piece of paper. 1 1/4 inches. And I'm going to draw that. So when I'm drawing, start on the grid. All right. So I'm going to just pick a point right there on the grid. Do not start like in the middle. Don't make your drawings at an angle or anything. Follow the grid on the paper as much as you can. I'm going to come over and I'm going to measure 1 1/4 inches. So I can use my ruler and I can measure 1 1/4. Or I know that each block on my graph paper is 1/4 inch. So 1 1/4, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. So I'm just going to come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. It should be right on the line. So if you're already slightly slanted, erase it, put it right on that line. All right. So, out of my way. Don't spill it again. All right, so I've got my 1 1/4 inch. I'm going to draw that. And look at that, I got 1 1/4 inches on my drawing. It should line up because we're drawing it at full scale or 1 to 1. I can write that at the top. Full scale, also known as 1 to 1 scale. And my unit is inches. All right. So now let's measure the height of that piece right there. Would be this height right here. I'm going to use my calipers. And remember, we are not measuring this. We're going just to the flat part right there. So if you can hold your Lego, or you can hold whatever you're measuring in the calipers like this, that means that you're probably measuring it correctly. Right? You should be able to hold the object with the calipers. All right. So going to the top, bottom to top, not including that stud. Yes, I also got 1 1/8 inches. Or 1 2/16, and 2/16 simplifies to 1 1/8. All right, so I'm going to come up. I know that's 4 1/2 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2. All right, so now I got this line done. So now let's come across the top here. And with that one, we are measuring the width of that 1 by 1 block. There. So we're measuring that to see how far it is going to come across on ours. All right. And you also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. Perfect. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure 5/16. So from that 0 line to 5/16. There we go. And I'm going to write 5/16. All right, so now I've got that line's good. So now let's come down here. Come down right here. And use my calipers. Do I get a good reading if I do this? No, I don't. Do I get a good reading if I do that? No, I don't. I can kind of get close, but not perfect. But as Chris says, we use the depth rod right here. So stick it out and just slide it on down there. Make sure you're not at an angle. And I can measure this, and I get, not including that stud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16ths, which is 6/16 simplifies to 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to come down 3/8. So I'm going to go 3/8 straight down. Which should bring me right to that line on the graph paper. All right. So now we got this line done. All right, so let's come over here. All right, so I'm going to measure right here. And again, can't really measure it that way. I'm going to measure it that way using my depth rod right here. And I read that and I get perfect. 5/16. So I'm going to come over 5/16. I'll label 5/16. Cool. Now that line's done. Now I'm going to repeat that 2 more times for that next part. Since we know that these are Legos and I know that that's going to be the exact same height, technically I don't have to measure it. I should, but you know, we all know that that's a Lego, right? So if I measure that again, I know I'm going to get another 3/8 of an inch. So another 6/16 for that one, another 3/8. I'm going to come straight down for 3/8, which is a block and a half on the paper. That's 3/8. Now we did that one. So now we have to finish off coming this way. There's 2 ways I can go about doing this. One is I can just measure it again. You know, you can always measure it. You're always going to get a good answer that way. The other one is I can use my math. So I've got my whole width right here is 1 1/4. 1 1/4 minus 5/16 minus 5/16 is going to leave me with whatever that is right there. I'm just going to measure it just to double check my math. I've got, what do we got here? It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch, or 10/16. So 5/8. All right, and so that's 5/8. And now we don't really even need to measure this line. We can just connect that line. Right. And I know that that's 3/8, that's 3/8, and that's 3/8. So 3/8, 3/8, 3/8 gives us 9/8, which is 1 1/8 right here. So this is 3/8. Right. So there's our front side. So we did this one, we did that one. So any questions on how we got the front side? Basically, we just took this, we measured every line on here, and we drew it accurately on our paper. You see, doesn't this look a lot neater than this? That's why we use our ruler, that's why we measure everything like that. All right. So next we have, let's do our top. Next, so we're going to do our top up here, we're going to go up to our top. The reason we put it directly on top right here is so we can reuse a lot of these measurements we already did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what are called guidelines. So anywhere there's a vertical line going up and down, I'm going to make that line go all the way across. I'm going to use a dotted line. Do it lightly with your pencil. I'm going to do it dark just so you can see it. But you're going to take this line and just extend it all the way across, all the way up with a dotted line. Just like that. Make it light, make it dotted, so that way you can erase it easier later if you need to. But any vertical line, I'm going to do that with. And make these lines as straight as possible, following the grid on the paper. Don't try to put them at angles like this. All right, so now let's do my top right here. Right, so we know that there's a lot of different pieces here. They're all at different heights and everything. But when you're drawing it, try to think of it as like you're just looking at the shadow of it to do the outside of it. So here's a shadow right there. So imagine looking at the shadow, you just see that rectangular outline right there. So let's draw first that whole rectangular outline, which is the same as if I had just drawn this piece. So let's draw this piece right here. Now, let's draw it just like that. Do I need to measure this right here? I don't need to, because I've already measured it right there. When I turn it, it doesn't magically change size. It doesn't grow, it doesn't shrink. So I've already measured this 1 1/4 on the side. So I know that's going to be the same 1 1/4 on the top. So that's why I'm drawing these guidelines. So I can just pick a line. I'm just going to pick a line right here, and I'm going to draw that 1 1/4. All right, so now I've got my 1 1/4 line right there. That's this bottom line right here. Now the width of it, right here. Have I measured that one yet? No, I'm not. So that one I'm going to pull out my calipers. I'm going to measure that. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. Yes, 5/8 of an inch. So 5/8 on my graph paper. I know it's a 1.5. I'm sorry, 2.5. 2, 4, yeah, 2.5 blocks. Confusing myself again. And I know that that's 5/8. Right, so that's that line right there. I'm going to erase this guideline so you can see that better. So that guideline came up right there. Now I know it also came up, looking at this, I know this is a rectangle, so I know I'm also coming up 5/8 right here. So let's just take my ruler and do that 5/8. And I know it's a rectangle, so I can just connect that. So now I have my outline of my piece from the top. Back on, put that on correctly. So I've got my outline. So that was a rectangle, so that's what it would look like if it was like that. The problem is I have other pieces on top of it. Because these pieces are coming towards you at the camera, instead the camera right there, we need to note those, right? The way we do that is just by putting a line wherever that one is. Right? So you put a line right here because it's coming towards you. You put a line right here because it's coming towards you. But look, we've already measured where this line is. This center one, we've already measured that. That's the same as right here. So we're just going to follow that guideline, and we're just going to connect this one right here. And you connect it with just a solid line, just a regular line. Nothing fancy, so you make just another line like that. I'm just erasing some of these guides just so you can see it easier. All right. So now we've got that. We've got, where my blue piece is right there marked. And so now we have to do where this little 1x1 piece is on top. We know it's going to line up right here on this guideline because I've already measured that right here. So we have part of it done, but we still need to measure this part right here. Now we know it's a square just because it's a Lego, but it's always a good idea just to double check. When I measure that, I also get 5/16 again. Right? A 5/16 by 5/16 square right here in this corner. So I'm going to use this guideline that I've already drawn from right here. Coming up, I'm going to come up 5/16, which is a block and a quarter. Erase this guideline just so you can see it easier. And I'm going to come 5/16 over. I'm going to label that 5/16. All right, so that gives us this block right here. Now our top is done. That is exactly what that looks like. But how many measurements did I have to take? How many times did I have to measure? A few, 3. Did we have to do 3 or did we have to do, we only did 2, right? We only had to measure this one right here and measure this one right here. Right? All those other measurements we took right from our original one and drew those guidelines. So of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, only 2 of them we had to measure to get our top. Okay. So coming over to the side, we're going to do the same thing. You need to put the measurements for the inside squares. Yes, you should put the measurement for the square right there. Whether you put it inside or outside, like down here, that's wherever you have room. I have to write big and dark so you can see it, so I don't have as much room. Plus, I'm writing upside down, so it's more difficult. But yes, put any dimension that you need to know. Okay, so we're going to do the same idea with the side one. So we're going to take any horizontal line, any line going left to right, we're going to extend that all the way over. So I'm going to grab my ruler, and anywhere I have a horizontal line, I'm going to make a dotted line, my guideline. Again, try to keep it as parallel to the graph paper as possible. Don't, try not to come off to the side too much. So there we go. So any horizontal line, any line going left to right, I took it and I extended those, made my guidelines. So now I'm going to take my piece, it was on my front right here, and I'm going to rotate it to look like that. It doesn't show up too well on the camera. My giant ones. Like that, laying on this face like this. So let us start out by drawing the height right here. This line right here. Have I already measured that line? I already measured that height. That height is the same as this one right here. So I know I can just go from this guideline to that guideline. I don't need to measure anything. I pick a spot on my drawing, on my graph paper, from all the way to the top. That gives me 1 1/8. Excellent. Now let's go to this line right here. Have I already measured that? Have I already measured how wide this piece is? I have. And what is that? I measured that when I did the top. That's 5/16. So I'm going to take that information for the side and I'm going to draw a line that is 5/16. There's a 1 1/4 on the graph paper. Alright, so I came over my 5/16. And we have to go down. We can go down one right here. Have I measured that? What is the height of this one piece? I've already measured that one, right? And that is this guideline right here. So I know I'm going to bring this down to that guideline. Erase some of these guidelines. Again, don't make your guidelines so dark. I'm just doing it so you can see it. Alright, so now I need to come over right here. So this part is something you have to think about. So because this sticks out right here, because it sticks out, you have to put that solid line going all the way across. Right? I don't just do that half right there. I don't just do this half. This line has to go all the way across there because it sticks out on my actual object. So I need to know how wide this piece is. Have I already measured how wide this whole thing is? Yeah, right? That width is right here. That's my 5/8 of an inch. Right? So I'm going to come over from this point right here over 5/8 of an inch. And I know 5/8 is 2.5 blocks on my graph paper. Or you can pull out your ruler and measure it. Okay. So that is this line right here. And now I'm going to go from, just see if I can do this with my left hand. Left hand is no good. Here all the way to the bottom. So again, just kind of pretend it's a shadow. Right there. I'm going all the way to the bottom to do this line. I've already measured that height. I've already got my guideline right here. Just using that guideline, I'm just going to bring that straight down. right there. I know that's a rectangle at the bottom, so I know I can connect this line right here, which is my guideline right there. And now this line in the middle right here. Right there. Or I guess right here for you. Do I have to draw this line going all the way across, or do I leave it blank? So I do need that line right there, which again, I've already measured. I don't have to measure anything, because it is the same as this one right here. And right there. All right. So I'm going to clean up my drawing a little bit. You can erase the guidelines if you need to. So now that is my side view right there. I get so you can see it on the camera. Sort of. That's my side view right there. How many times did I have to measure with my calipers on that piece? 0, right? Because all my measurements, I did almost all my measurements right here on the front. I had to take those last 2 measurements up here on the top. But by the time it comes to the side, I don't have to measure anything. I've already taken all the important measurements. So we finish that line, we finish that line. Right? I've got all the dimensions that I need written on here. Now, you see it's kind of busy because there's a lot of extra lines on here. Again, you can erase the guidelines. But when it comes to writing the dimensions, do I need to write that this is 1 1/8 inches tall right here? No, because I already wrote that over here. And the whole reason we put it directly to the side like this is so anyone can see, hey, how tall is that? Oh, it's 1 1/8. Right? So I don't need to write that that's 1 1/8. I don't need to write that that's 5/16 because I've already got that right here. I don't need to write that that is 3/8 of an inch because I've already got that right here. So this is our orthographic view. It's got all of our dimensions. It's got our top, front, and side view and everything on there. Good? Superb. Take a picture of that, put that on slide, a new slide, slide 13. That's going to go into your portfolio.